Hello, everybody. It's Barry Mayer from You've Got Leads, and welcome to the You've Got Leads 3.0 training session for today. It is March 22nd, 2018. So if you are expecting to be on a YGL training, then you're at the right place. And we welcome brand new users as well as some existing users I see. I recognize some names there, and welcome to our training as well for all of you. This training will be geared towards new users, so we will go through the YGL basics, but then also cover some of the more in-depth features functionality within the program, such as generating a report, which is easy as well, or perhaps assigning a source and even creating a source within the program. So I want to try to be as comprehensive as I can be with this training, and also stay within our time frame, because I know that time is very valuable to you and all of us, and you probably have other things to get to. So we will wrap this up before an hour and a half. We try to keep it to an hour and 15 minutes, but certainly, like I mentioned, I want to give you the good information and also answer any questions that you might have. Now, speaking of questions, if somebody out there knows how to use the GoToWebinar control panel and can send me a chat or a question even that states you can hear me and that you can see my screen. I want to make sure before we get too far into this that you're actually able to follow along. So if anybody at all can do that, I would appreciate that very much. Awesome. Christina, thank you very much. She says she can hear me and see the screen. And Michael Davis says the same thing. And a couple other users as well. So that's great. I think that we are good to go now that we have multiple people that confirmed. And it's good to see you guys on the call today. I don't know if you consider yourselves lucky. I normally don't conduct trainings, but I'm kind of filling in. And so we will try to make this a really great training. And of course, since you have me, I have lots of experience with You've Got Leads. Definitely send me questions. If I can't get to them or need some one-to-one assistance, it's just more in depth, you can still send me the question. I might not answer it fully on the call today since we have lots of others, but the GoToWebinar system will send me a recap of all of the questions. So they won't be lost. I'll be able to go back and go through them and touch base with you individually as needed. Okay? All right. So for users that are brand new and that have been using You've Got Leads perhaps for some time, let me explain a little bit about logging into the 3.0 platform. And not to confuse the brand new users, but we are rolling out a new system, even as we speak, for existing users. So if you're already going to https://crm.you'veGotLeads.com, then you're at the right place. Okay? Just remember that. It's not www, it's crm.you'veGotLeads.com. And you would want to bookmark this, obviously, to your favorites. If you're using Google Chrome, then you just click the star at the end of the URL field. Internet Explorer works a little bit differently, but it's pretty easy to save or bookmark to favorites. Now, you also have access to the old 2.0, I don't know if I should say old, but former 2.0 system as well, okay? And that, if you go to www.you'vegotleads.com and you log in here, that'll simply take you into what looks like You've Got Leads 2.0, right? Now, here is the link to get to the 3.0 platform, and you can see that right there. So not to thoroughly confuse any brand new users, I'm just mentioning this because I know there are existing users on the call, okay? There's some other popular questions as we go back here and get ready to log into YGL 3.0. Other common questions are, well, what if I update one or the other platform? Does it update both? And absolutely, yes, it'll update both. If you have data in the system, whether we've imported that data as a new user or new company on You've Got Leads, or you've been using You've Got Leads for years, all of the data will be found in the new platform as well. That's, I think, the best thing about it is there's no migration. And there's also no changing of usernames and passwords or credentials to get in, which is wonderful. So you just use the same username and password that you have. Okay. All right, so let's go ahead and get logged in here. And I think I'm going to hide my control panel just so it's not in the way. And here we are. This is the new home or new dashboard in YGL 3.0. Okay. And I will be diligent about moving through this training in a linear and logical progression. So what I plan to do here, guys, is focus on the home and the dashboard for a little bit. And then we will talk about leads. And when we're talking about leads, I'll move into actually adding a lead, okay, creating a lead contact prospect in the system. And then we'll also start tracking a task for that new lead. And then we'll look at some tasks as well. Okay, so those are the first main activities and functions that we'll perform within this training. And then, of course, towards the end, we'll talk more about sources, touch upon inventory. Some companies don't use the inventory/occupancy module in the program. A lot of you do. So I will mention that, and we will go through a bit of a tutorial there. If you need additional assistance with inventory, by all means, let me know, reach out, ask me a question, I'll connect with you. And then we'll generate some reports. Okay, but I think that keeps it pretty simple if we just go from left to right and touch upon each one of these tabs. Okay, so you can see, even if you are using You've Got Leads previously, that the main navigational tabs are still here at the top and they haven't changed. So that's great, right? We're familiar with that as existing new users, and for new users, they're pretty descriptive as to what's in each section, right? If I wanted to see all my leads, I simply click on leads. If I want to go to my task search and search activities and tasks that I've completed or scheduled, then I go to task search and sources and so on. As our eyes move across left to right on the top of the screen here in our nav header, we see notifications. Then there's a help, and you see the welcome with your name. And a search field, this would be quick search. That remains and functions the same. Just type in a name and you can search that by clicking on your little hourglass or magnifying glass there, I should say. And then there's our add lead button, which we will be clicking upon in a few minutes here to add a brand new record. The notifications, a lot of times users will say, well, what is that? What shows up there? Notifications is where you would see leads that are coming into your account automatically. So if you work with a referral network that auto-populates referrals they send to you into You've Got Leads, like a Place for Mom or a Caring.com or another referral network, then you would receive the notifications there in the upper right-hand corner. Also, some of our companies and customers that use YGL will auto-populate leads from their own website. And so those leads would notify you here as well. Okay. The help, this is the replacement for the little question mark that's in the former 2.0 platform. Okay, so if you're wondering where that is in 3.0, here it is. And for you new users, if you want to reach out to support, you click help, which brings up a window here. And you're able to instantly search common questions or frequently asked questions here. So how to add a lead or something like that. You might find it, right? If you cannot find what you're searching for, what your issue/question is, then simply click Contact Us. It's going to fill in your name. It'll put an email there. This is just kind of gibberish email that we've entered for this training. And then go ahead and include as much information for us as you can. It just helps, find out who you are and be able to help you faster. And I'll send them just a quick message so you can see how this works. And then we would click send, and it does give you a check mark. Now, what that will also do is send an email automatically to your inbox with a reference number, a ticket number, so that way you are able to refer to that ticket number as the issue is worked. Sometimes we can resolve it right away. It's just a simple question, and it has a one sentence answer, and everybody's happy. Other times it might take a little back and forth, right, until the issue or question is resolved to your satisfaction. So it's nice to have a ticket number. Okay, so that's your nav header at the top. Nothing too scary there. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. For you brand new users, once you use it a little bit, it'll become pretty common to you and familiar. And I think you'll be able to work in and throughout this system using the nav header pretty easily. Now, as you scroll on down, let's take a look at some of these items on the dashboard. Vista Ridge of Seattle, that's the property account that I'm in, or a community. If I had access to multiple properties, I'm more of a corporate user, then I could click the drop down and I could toggle back and forth between each one of my communities there. Okay. Lead search. I like this upgrade. It allows users to quickly search a name and find results right away. So obviously the program's all about tracking leads, right? From inquiry to tour to move-in. And one very simplistic seeming thing that you would need to be able to do is quickly find leads. And a lot of times users would say, hey, can you maybe upgrade the lead search? When we log in, it'll start to find names if we type into a bigger field, and that's the whole reasoning behind this feature. So when I start to type in just any name, if that record exists or name exists, then it'll find and return results, right? And I could click on any of these names and go right to their lead details. So I like how that works. So what is upcoming appointments? Well, upcoming appointments, these are tasks or activities that you've scheduled for a specific time, and more importantly, the duration. If you've set a duration, instead of leaving it at, quote, all day, then it will appear in your upcoming appointments. Okay. So let's click on the plus sign or just the item itself. It expands some more details, right? Which is great. Now I can click on the email and be able to follow up over email or give them a phone call if I need to. Now on the right-hand side of this upcoming appointment item, I can see a little edit icon, and I can delete the appointment if I needed to as well. If I click on edit, it brings up my edit window, and I can change the details if needed. I can assign the appointment to somebody else. The due date is there. Now the calendars work just a little bit differently in this updated platform. If you click on the calendar here, I can scroll through the months quickly. Now, you also have the ability to click on the year, so if you need to really go back or something, it's probably more relevant to tracking a date of birth, but that's starting to give you an idea of how these calendars work. If I click off of it and I don't make a change, it just stays the way it was. Okay, but maybe I want to push this back to the next day or tomorrow. Now, the duration is chosen here, and this is what makes it an appointment. So this is very important. And I get the question all the time. It's like, what's the difference between a task and an upcoming appointment? Well, technically, it's a user choosing a specific duration besides all day. okay? Because it'll default to all day until you choose something. As soon as you choose 15 minutes or anything else, it becomes an upcoming appointment. So I'm going to change that to an hour. One other thing I want to mention here is the way the time works. It is also a scrolling column. So perhaps I want to change this to 4 o'clock, just choose PM. I can choose just 4 o'clock on the dot. Now, once you've chosen and set your time, you'll need to click the set time button. This is also just a feature that it's required the way the technology works and is built. And it kind of is one of those things that somebody needs to probably show you at least once unless you stumble across it. So just click that set, and that's what sets your time. If you didn't click the set button, it's going to stay at the original time that was in there. Okay, so hopefully that's clear to everyone. Okay, so you could click save now and just save it if that's all you needed to do with this appointment. I could also enter some notes here. Okay. And I could review other notes that we've tracked. And it will also automatically post updates, more significant type updates with this record. All right, and now we click save. So I saved that one, and it moved it from today, and as you can see, I moved it to tomorrow. And if you're wondering, it will if you have upcoming appointments scheduled, meaning you have a task/activity entered into YGL that you've chosen a duration for, right? That's the only thing that you need to do to make it an appointment. Choose a duration. The 3 sections here will always be today, tomorrow, and the next day, whatever that next day is. In this case, what are we at? Thursday, so that's why it's showing Saturday. Okay. So these are fairly straightforward to use and to schedule. I think it's quite important. A lot of our users have requested this. You guys are what are driving the the features that show up on your dashboard, such as appointments, your task snapshot. These are all just activities that are all day type tasks. Maybe not as quite as significant as a tour or a move-in or a move-out or an appointment or a home visit or something like that, right? These are calls and emails and mailings that you really intend to get to and complete, but you haven't really promised anybody that you would do them at a specific time, right? They're just scheduled. So the task snapshot is there for you. Certainly, I can show more than 5. If I wanted to show 20 tasks here, I can do that. Something else that I like about this upgrade is their little radio button. I can complete this task. So if I actually perform and send the email and complete it, I can copy and paste it in here. And let's see, it's going to automatically change the done to yes because it knows you're trying to complete it because you clicked on the radio button, right? And then I click save. Now it moves it off there. Now this account, I did this on purpose because I'd say 90% of our users have this feature activated, which requires a next step. So this helps us to not let leads fall through the cracks, and it requires that next scheduled task for the lead that is still open. And it gives you a little description of why it's giving you a stop sign here. Right, so all I need to do is just schedule the next step here. And we'll schedule that for next Thursday. We'll make sure it's a high priority. I'm going to leave it as an all-day type task. So I bet you if I quizzed you, I know everybody's on mute, you would be able to tell me how I could change this to an appointment, right? Yep, all I would do is schedule a duration. If I leave it at all day, it just leaves it in my tasks and task snapshot. So I go ahead and save it. Of course, it's done no, because I haven't completed. It's a task scheduled for the future. And then I can move forward and get off that screen and remove the stop sign there. Okay, so those are two items that are very, very popular and have been commonly requested. Also, latest leads. This is the third big one that we wanted to include front and center on your homepage or dashboard. So users tell us, I want to know what upcoming appointments I have. I want to know all the tasks I've scheduled. And of course, I want visibility into my newest leads, the leads that are coming in, the most recently. So here are the latest leads that I have, and it'll automatically put the newest lead at the top. Okay, and give you some information with the columns. Anytime you see these little dots here on the upper right-hand corner of any table or grid, that means I have the ability to do a little customization. I could put like date added first. Perhaps I want that to be my first column, right? And then contact name, resident, sales phase. Of course, anytime you see text that's in blue and you get your pointer, that's a link to their details page, so the lead profile. And then here would be a link to the tasks, activities for this record. Okay. All right, so before I go any further, I want to show you how you can customize these dashboard cards. So each one of these sections or features on your dashboard, we call those a dashboard card, and you can shuffle them. So they are pun intended for you. Let's say I want to maybe address this question. How do I change a task that was scheduled for a call to an email? Got it. Okay, so Tim, that's a good question. So how do you change a task in this system? I was going to go through that a little later, but I'll go through it now. And if you guys have clarifying questions or you need me to elaborate, I can do that. So in the new 3.0, to change a task, you would really delete the task that's there now and enter a new one. Okay. The reason why we've done that, there is definitely a reason. It's not just to change it haphazardly. It's because in years past, or even in recent past, when you could change even multiple task types before saving, it causes a lot of programs in the underlying code and the way the system works and the rules that are in the system that automatically update, for instance, sales phases. So it has a lot to do with updating the sales phase. So that's why, as a user, you would need to delete the task you want to change. So if you enter a call and say, you know what, I want to do an email instead, then delete the call and enter an email task. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense, or at least explains it enough to answer the question, but it's a good one. And if you need to connect with me on that to get more details, then certainly reach out with questions. Okay, so I was talking about changing and reorganizing and reordering the dashboard cards. So that's what this little icon here is. It's what it's all about, customized dashboard. Looks like a little table of contents. It's blue. So if I click there, I'm able to move these items up and down, and I can even hide something. So if I don't pay attention to quick stats, I just click on it. And if I clicked OK, it will go away. I can also move these other things around. Maybe I want my sales pipeline feature at the top, then appointments. Maybe I don't ever even schedule appointments in this program. Maybe I use all day tasks and that's it. So the upcoming appointments I could either hide or put below task snapshot and latest leads. So I've made a few changes. Now I'm going to click OK. And you can see that my sales pipeline, which is where I can click to get a listing of all of these records, so these leads in each one of these sales phases, is at the top. And then my task snapshot, then my latest leads, then upcoming appointment. Okay, so that's what the customized dashboard is all about. As I scroll down, I have a projected occupancy feature. So if you use the inventory, and occupancy module, this would make more sense to you. If you don't, I'd probably just hide it. Or if you don't have the inventory feature on at all, it's probably by default hidden for you. The top leads, this is a feature that was added a while ago based upon just popular request. And so if I go into one of these records, you can see there's a star to the left of the name. If you uncheck it, then you can remove them from the top leads list. And if it's checked or filled in, that means they're on the top leads list. Okay, so right here. And then the occupancy activity, where it was to make sure that we include all of the items that were in the 2.0 platform, and that is your occupancy activity, your sales activity, and outreach activity. Okay, so if you were looking to see, do I have any move-ins pending over the next 30 days or 60 days or forward 7 days? This is a great way to see that type of high-level information. Maybe I want to review tours that are coming up over the next 7 days. I could quickly see that type of activity right from my sales activity section. I mean, to me, that's very important, right? If I'm a senior housing marketer and sales liaison at the community, tours are important to me, especially if we're not completely full and we are attempting to fill a few apartments. Then we want to get folks in to tour and see our awesome community, and to be able to quickly grab this information, is important. All right, so the dashboard is, I think, a bit more enhanced with features that are very relevant to what users perform within the program each and every day, and speak to the productivity and efficiency. So being more efficient and effective in You've Got Leads, and really the least amount of time possible. That's the goal, is to get on and off this system quickly, having tracked what you need to track, right, and move on. So if anybody has any questions about these dashboard features and how they work, why they're there, or anything at all, let me know. But always at the halfway point in the hour, so it's almost 1:30 Eastern time, I want to get to the point in the training where we're adding a lead. Okay, so how do you add a lead? Well, we looked at it briefly before, but there's an add lead button here at the very top and at the top right, and that's where you click to add a brand new lead. So let's click add lead. And what do we see? We see a create new lead page, and it doesn't have all of the information here. It's just a start guide for you. As soon as you fill in what you have and then click create, then it will take you to the full leads profile page. Okay, and we're going to actually do this. So I'm going to enter the inquiry date. Yes, you can choose another date besides today. It'll default to today. Lead status, that's referring to hot, warm, or cold. Inquiry method, this is simply how they chose to reach out to you. It's not the comprehensive source. It's the method they chose to reach out. It will automatically be assigned to you as the user that's logging in and adding the lead. However, if you wanted to assign the lead or the family to another user, your colleague that has access to your account, then you would just choose the drop down and assign it to somebody else. Okay. The lead source. Here, it will look for sources in the program even when you start to type in the source, which is great, right? So I can type in, Sherry Fisher, here is the source that this lead is from, and then I could choose it. So to me, that's a lot easier than the way it used to be. You guys certainly can give us feedback and let us know if it could be improved. But I like when you type in fields, and some of these fields in the updated platform, that it finds results, right, as you start to type. So that's how you would find an existing source and assign it to the lead you're adding. Now, what happens if you know that the source this lead came from is not in the system yet? Well, that's okay. We can add it right here. and you can see a little plus sign. If you hover the cursor over that plus sign, you get Add Source. I'm going to click on it there, and here's our source management page. Okay, so we're basically still in the process of adding a brand new lead. Something that speaks to the ease of use and the intuitiveness of this program is that you don't have to back out, toggle back and forth between multiple screen sections to then add a source and come back and continue to add the lead or start over. So it's nice to be able to add the source right here from scratch as you are creating the lead, right? Now we have some main categories here. These will be default choices, so everybody gets these. What will change, though, from org to org is the specific professional or residence or special events or advertising that you have within your account. And some of them have subsources, of course. You know, yellow pages you just might add to lead. But professional, there's lots of different subsources that can be categorized under a professional major category, right? Such as agencies or hospitals, home health, geriatric care managers, independent livings, referral agencies, of course, senior centers, you know, whatever the case may be. So I'll just pick one here at random just to give you guys an example. So let's say you potentially work with a rehab center. So I'll click the subsource link beside rehab. Here are the 10 rehab professional sources that we already have in the program. Now let's say that we still know that none of these are the source that should be assigned to this lead. So what do? We pinpoint the add new source right here, okay? And we can see the breadcrumbs. All, we went to professional, then we clicked on subsource rehab, and now we click on add new source. Now it's going to complete the category here under professional for us because we know it's in rehab. If I wanted to change that even, if I change my mind or something changes, then I could choose a different category. That's okay. Or I just keep going and down the path of adding this source under rehab center. Okay, so I'm hovering the cursor over the org now. Let's say it was an individual or professional contact that was part of an existing company you've already added. Well, then you would choose that from your org list under rehab centers. You can add as many people associated with one company as you need to, right? However, instead of doing that, we want to be as comprehensive as we can be in this training. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a brand new organization, right? And here I could just delete independent and start typing, or I could click the X, right? So that's how that works. That's another little training tip, and I think that helps if you're a user of this program and someone shows you that at some point, right? So let's go ahead and enter a name of a new company. And now it's there, it's in there. All you needed to do is put your cursor in the field and type in the name of the org. And then here is where we would go ahead and start to type the name of the person. I'm trying to think of a last name. I don't know why I can't, just anything. I'll make something up. There we go. Job title, maybe she's the, how about executive? And bear with me, guys. I just want to make sure I'm filling most of this stuff out so you see how this works. Filling in fields, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's make up some different fills it in for me. And we would, of course, track any phone numbers that we have and now save it. So that creates a brand new rehab organization and professional contact, and there it is. And it's in my list now. I just click add to lead, and it will assign that source to my lead. Okay. Okay, so I'm hoping that everybody caught that, right? And let me check, let's see, show. Got it, okay. I'm just checking the question feature there and making sure I don't miss anything. But what I just walked you through is probably one of the most comprehensive type actions or activities you'll perform in this program. So I say that because as a user, if you can add a lead and create a source from scratch and assign it to the lead, then basically you rock. I mean, you can do anything in this program, that you're capable of doing within YGL, because that's kind of the most involved activity in my mind, and what to make sure that you learn and are diligent to performing within You've Got Leads, and that's assigning sources. It's important because, of course, you yourself want source performance and source analysis type reports, and I'm sure your corporation does as well. So be diligent about assigning those sources to new leads. Okay, so we're moving along here. Let's go ahead and enter the name of our primary contact. I'm trying to think of some appropriate name here. Whatever comes to my mind, right? Now, in 3.0, you might wonder, okay, why is there the only work phone? Yes, we're going to update that. It's in the developer's queue, and we understand it is very important. I'll show you what to do, of course, to track the home and the mobile. Honestly, they just need to get the home and the mobile in there on this contact page. There's really no other explanation for it. If you don't have a work phone, it's okay. Just don't even put anything there. And as soon as I create the lead, then it'll show you the home and phone, and I'll show you where you enter that. So if you're wondering about that, I definitely wanted to clarify. If you have a work phone, go ahead and put it in. Let's see. I'll just go ahead and enter something, and then of course you want to put in the resident name. And any email that you have there. The notes, certainly you can start to type notes here. This is a note title. Go ahead and capitalize that. Let's say we've tracked basically as much information as we can on the front create page. And what do you do next? Okay, well, I click create. And what that will do is it saves the lead in the system. It assigns the source that you already assigned the source, but it basically records everything within You've Got Leads. And now you have one master record for the entire lead and family with their primary contacts. And here is where you're able to enter the rest of the phone number information and choose preferred. Okay. Anytime you see a save button, I will let you know that it will save the entire page. And we did that on purpose. Initially, when we had some beta testers, there was only one save button, and it was cumbersome because you had to scroll back to the top. So if you're wondering, if I click save on inquiry details, yes, it saves the entire page. Okay. Same thing with your different resident sections and living preferences. Okay. But let's go back up to the top, and I'm sorry, I'll stop scrolling so much for the sake of all our eyes. And go ahead and enter some information here in the primary contact. So this is the son, and the relation to resident is what that is. If we add additional numbers, we would track those there. And of course, we would put in our address. He is the inquirer, allow contact. Also, if you didn't know this, we are able to add custom fields to You've Got Leads. And in 3.0, what I love is that these custom fields are searchable. Okay, that is brand new. It was never available before. You could add custom fields before, but you couldn't search them in your leads section, which to me kind of defeated the purpose. It's like, I want to be able to pull all leads that are a certain occupation or have, a certain existing condition if that was your custom field. But whatever the case may be, you should be able to search by the drop down. And I'll show you that when we get to the leads section. As you scroll down, you have resident details. So you always have primary and the resident. If you chose self here, then it would auto-populate the resident fields. Okay. In fact, I can choose that. And you can see now it auto-fills everything in your resident details because I chose self. Okay. The personal details here, pretty straightforward. And we're tracking things like birth date, marital status, living situation. So mostly drop-down lists and any kind of radio button that are pretty easy to fill out and complete. And I'll go ahead and do this quickly just to give you a sense of what it takes to complete a leads profile. Okay. Also, I want to mention that hot buttons is now searchable as well. Okay. So let's see. This is not really your comprehensive notes section. It's just maybe where you want to record some bulleted points or hot buttons, as it's called, about the family, and make sure that it just stays on the lead profile, and you can reference that later and also search by it, the keywords. Okay. What type of apartment that they are looking for, and this is driven by your preferences. Okay. At your organization. Financial information. How will they be funding their stay? The minimum and maximum budget per month. Do they own or rent at this time? And were they or was their spouse a veteran? Something else that is searchable in You've Got Leads now is the additional contacts. So if you enter names for additional contacts like close family members, cousins, friends, other contacts related to a lead, then when you search that name in your lead search, it'll find the lead. I can't tell you how many times I've been asked that in the past, and it's great. So you have the first three contacts in You've Got Leads are primary, resident, which might be one and the same, right? Then the third one is your secondary contact. Okay. Any other contacts beyond primary, resident, and secondary are just additional contacts. And when you're searching leads, it'll find any one of them. I'm going to go ahead and hopefully this proves me right, but I'm going to enter a unique name in here so to see if we can find it later. How about That's what came to mind. I don't know. She might be the grandchild or something. Okay. And remember, I said any time you click save, it saves everything. Doesn't matter if you're saving from one section or the other, right? All right, so we have tracked and added our very first lead, and we've assigned the source as well. So great job. Now that's not really it though. We're not complete with this lead, because guess what? You're right. We need to add some follow-up, what we've done and what we're going to do in the future. So we're on the lead details, and you can see in this program you have lead details and activity as well. We can go over there. Now I want to mention that if I tried to browse away from the work that I'm doing with this lead record, so if I attempted to go back to home, it's going to stop me. Okay. And give me that stop sign, because we've activated that feature in this account where it requires a next step for any open lead. And of course, this brand new lead is still open, right? And so what do? Well, we enter our new task. So here's the new task. This is where you enter a task from the beginning. This is what populates your task snapshot and everything else. So tasks in You've Got Leads are related to leads or sources. And this is a customizable list. So if you don't see something in your task list that you feel that your organization would benefit from as having a task in the program, just let us know and we'll add it. For the sake of simplicity, let's schedule a call. And in fact, we've already completed this call. And we've completed that today. Okay. We're going to say it was done. I'm just tracking this because I want to make sure that I remember what I've already performed with this lead and what I've discussed with the family. And now I still get the stop sign. You might be wondering why, and that's because we don't have anything scheduled for the future. So we need to enter an open task, if you will, for this open lead. So it might be an email at this time. They requested some information. It's a hot lead, so we're going to choose high priority. And we are not going to choose a duration. It's just an email. So I'll just click, well, I want to schedule the date, so I'm going to do that tomorrow. I'll leave it as an all-day type task here and click Save. Now that does remove the stop sign, and we can see now that we have a task scheduled for the future. Okay. Anytime you click anywhere in this row, it brings back the window. Okay, to update that, there's a little edit here, and the trash can, that just means delete. And so I could browse away. I could move on to other things within the program. I could enter a new lead. I could track information that pertains to another family. But maybe I want to enter some notes as well. So okay. If I want to add a tag, and I put my cursor in the tag field, I can start to type in a new tag, or I can choose from what's already in there. Let's see. Could be whatever I want, right? Oops, did I add that? Okay. And now I want to associate it with an email. Click OK. And if I need to edit this task, then I choose the edit. I don't think, let me see, price. Okay, I didn't add that. I'd see it's missing. So I need to click the plus sign. I added and saved it. There's the tag. And I think that it's nice that you can associate a note with a task, right? So it's associating this task with, this note with that email task. And then, and also adding tags to the program or to the note as well. And there I can filter by different tags. Okay. So if anybody has any questions about notes, then definitely let me know. It's pretty straightforward. Simply click on new note like you would be clicking on new task. If you want to add a title, you can, and then type in the body of the text in the note there or paste. Okay. Okay, so that's adding a lead. Let's go ahead and for the first time, click on our leads section. Hopefully everybody's still following along. It looks like we have all of you still in the, the training session room, if you will. That's great. I appreciate you guys sticking around. That's good. And we will forge ahead here. So there's some cool things on the leads page. You'll notice that your filters are on the left side. So if I pop this out, then I can see filters and different sections. So I think for someone who's already used the program, what I would suggest is just get in here, look at every one of them, drop down the drop downs and just kind of get the lay of the land and find out where these filters are. It's pretty straightforward for any new users. I mean, I would do the same thing. You might be entering data and so on, so it might take a little while to need to be filtering, amongst 1,000 leads or something. But certainly to be able to filter in multiple ways is very important, especially when you're tracking hundreds of leads. Okay. If I want to clear all, I can click clear all, and that brings back all of the records that are in the community that I've accessed here. For multiple community users, you are able to search leads and pull back all records in the entire company, even if you have 30 communities in your company or more. Okay. Now I've cleared filters, and something that other users have told me is, or asked me to do, is be very comprehensive and thorough when I'm explaining these saving filter sets and how you save a filter set in this program. Okay. So I am going to hear them and hopefully accommodate those wishes, and it'll benefit you guys too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all of these filter sets and start from the beginning as if I'm a brand new user. Okay. And for those of you who have never saved a filter set in YGL 3.0, right? So I want to get this into a state, besides maybe not seeing any leads yet, that you guys will all see upon logging in for the first time. So what we want to do is save a couple of filter sets, and I'll explain why that's important as we go along, and I'm sure you understand that. But let's say you are commonly following up with open leads, and that makes sense. And you want to exclude moved in or closed records in your system, because you only find those and search out those types of leads when you have a specific edge case, right? I'm following up with closed leads, or I need to track something with a resident. Otherwise, as a sales and marketer, I'm moving open leads through the sales phases. So you want to quickly filter by all of your open leads. So how would I do that? Well, first, I would look for and find my move-in status, and it's underneath the top one, appropriately so, sales activity. Okay, so sales activity is what I want to find. Click on the drop-down and see the subsections here. Then I find move-in status, and you can see in this platform, it'll give you even an indication of how many records are in each one of these categories, which I really like. So now I choose open, and I can see my results as I tick the box, which is great. And it gives me my applied filters. So it's telling me which filter I have applied here. So that's pretty easy so far, right? So all I did was pop out the filter section, click on sales activity, expand move-in status, and choose open. So hopefully everybody's with me thus far. Now I don't have any filter sets applied yet. I click on the drop down, nothing's there, right? So how do I make sure that I can easily filter by all open leads from now on? Well, I have my applied filters here. I put my cursor in the name your filter set, and I can name this filter set anything I want. Something relevant, I hope, right? Like all open leads. And now I want to click Save Filter Set. Success. Filter saved. Okay. So let me show you why that's important. Let's say we've cleared all. I'm here now. I have 618 records, but I know I want to exclude the moved in and closed ones, and I don't want to have to go click multiple times. All I want to do is apply a Save Filter Set. There it is. See that? It's in the drop down now. Boom. So that's a simple example. Now, as you become more familiar with You've Got Leads, I'm sure you'll become more brave in the system and probably want to do more things. And so you might want to say to yourself, I want all open leads, right? And I also want to include just pre-tour or something like that, right? So I choose my sales phase, choose pre-tour. Anytime you see the little arrow, it's pointing up, I know I can collapse that. If it's pointing down, that means it's collapsed, and I click on it and it would expand it. Okay. So I may choose open, pre-tour. You can see where what you've applied thus far up here, right? Applied filters, move in, open, sales phase, pre-tour. And I also want to drill down just a bit further and only include hot leads. You can see now I've applied 3 filters. Okay. And as a user, as a salesperson, I may say, you know what, I like that list. I want to consistently follow up with any lead that's in this program that hasn't toured with us yet, that's hot. Or a lead, whatever terminology you use. So what do I do? Okay, well, I don't want to call these all open leads. I want to call them something else like we name our filter set something appropriate, success, okay. And I'm going to clear all again. And it just helps us recenter and get back to the beginning with what you'll see when you log in, right? And now I can apply one of these filter and save sets. So open, pre-tour, and hot. So hopefully that makes sense to all of you. And you'll find that saving filter sets is useful. And I think that most of the users that have tried that and have begun to use it definitely feel that it is. And it's nice to be able to save previous filter history and just quickly grab a group of leads, right, that you're following up with in that particular time or that day. And anytime you want to clear everything, I just clear all of that. And that brings us back to all of the records that we have. Now, if you're just looking to search by some main fields like first name, last name to find lead records, then certainly this search bar here is for you in lead search. And as I mentioned, you can search by hot buttons here. So if I choose hot buttons and type the word dog, that'll bring back all of the records that we have the word dog in the hot buttons in the lead profile. And you can see there's a lead we added today. So I'm going to clear all, and I wanted to prove that it will search secondary contacts. And there we go. So there's the lead that we added today. And you can even see the secondary. So you've got the primary contact, the resident, and secondary as well here. I can tell you that's huge. I probably had 1,000 users ask me over the last few years, can we search secondary contacts or additional contacts and return those in the results and leads. So I know that feature will be welcomed. Let's see. I also have the ability, you can see the 3 dots here to customize my lead search. I can move things around. I might want the contact name first and the resident name and then click OK. So now my inquiry date is the 3rd column instead. And I like this little next task. So if you hover the cursor over it, it's going to give you the details that you typed in related to the task. And of course, if I clicked on the task itself, then it takes me to the activities page. Okay. All right, so I'm going to clear everything. And just before I get to the task page, I want to show you how to move somebody in. And I know it's a popular activity within this program, whether you use inventory or not. It's good to track all of your significant type tasks. And so certainly move-ins, move-outs, transfers. So we already have a move-in task here, but I'm going to delete that. And now that reopens the lead, so it's giving me my stop sign. But let's say this family has already gone through the process and they've toured, they might maybe even retoured, you've visited them, and now they want to leave a deposit. And the details, that's just whatever you want to type in. And this is done, yes. Who left the deposit and the amount. Certainly we can track the unit number and apartment number there. Do I want to put them on a waiting list, yes or no? And incidentally, that waiting list checkbox, that's the official way to track waiting lists related to families in this program by entering a deposit and checking the waiting list box. Now the next step would be moving the lead in itself, and it's going to complete some of this information. Let's see, if it were a scheduled move-in, we would simply leave the task done to no. Make sure we choose the apartment number, number of people per unit. It will automatically fill in the care type based upon what you've entered into your inventory associated with that room. Is it a respite stay, yes or no? And who is the payer source? It might be the secondary or additional contact. It might be the primary contact. It might be the resident themselves. Now we can click Save. And there we've entered a move-in task. Okay, if I wanted to schedule this at a specific time, then could choose make sure to click set. Now I confirm the time is in there, and instead of all day, I can choose something like an hour. Click save. So now that's an appointment. That's actually an upcoming appointment because I chose a duration. Okay. And so it's as simple as that, guys, to track a move in. And of course, if you needed to move somebody out, same type of deal. Choose move out from the tasks. It'll give you the it'll give you the details. Track those as best you can and save it. But I really like how the lead details are here, and hopefully you do too. I should stop saying that. It doesn't matter what I like, it's what you guys like, right? Lead details and activity are here for the lead record, and I can pretty easily bounce back and forth between the two. Okay, so couple people have some feedback. Thank you, John. Searching the let's see, secondary contacts. Yes, I think that will be very beneficial, and yeah, and I'm glad to hear it, Christina. The zip code and just being able to search different things in the platform is a big plus. I like the way you put that. I think so too. It really helps to, make you more efficient, basically. It should be about productivity and efficiency and moving information and family information from inquiry to tour to move in. So. And yes, if anybody has their hand raised, I usually don't unmute folks on the line just because there's so many people and it might there might be some background noise. But if you have a question, then just go ahead and type whatever question in, and I'll try to get to it. So, and that's a good one. I will talk about tasks and appointments right now. I know time is fleeting; it's flying by here. We're a little past the hour, so. But Sandra had a question about appointments and migrating to Outlook Calendar, so I'll touch upon that as well. And Wendy, if you have a question, then just go ahead and send that over. Yes, we will be going through some reports as well. So, okay. Now I do have a question. The timing out, can the program default to save mode? I may need to know a little bit more about what that is as far as a feature that you're requesting or asking about. Due to the system being HIPAA compliant, it will time you out if there's no activity in a certain amount of time. And honestly, guys, we've set that out as far as we can to remain HIPAA compliant. So that's, kind of it's unfortunate, but we also want to accommodate all of the notes and everybody that puts PHI information into here. I mean, if I were to put myself in your shoes, I would definitely want a HIPAA compliant program working in this industry. And yes, that's a great question, Sandra, the possibility of a duplicate file to migrate file to one client file. So you're talking about merging duplicate leads? If you want to clarify, I think that's what I'm reading there and interpreting in your question. So duplicate lead merge is not in the system yet, but I'm begging for it. Let's put it that way. I mean, if I could be on my hands and knees, I would be in Seattle with the dev team, because I know that there's a significant number of users that want it. So we are working on that feature. I'm hoping that it will be sooner than later. I can't promise when we'll have duplicate lead merge, but we've basically mapped it out. We need to be very conscientious before we throw it in the system, because I won't go into too much technical detail, but if you merge two family records or leads within You've Got Leads, it would be very, very difficult, nearly impossible programmatically to unmerge them. Okay, so you have to, one, make sure that you're doing the right thing and keeping everything in its place and where it should be once you merge a lead into another one. And then two, how do you address it if you needed to back that out or undo it, if you are able to undo it. So anyway. Okay, so let's kind of move on here. I know it's a little later in the session. I want to get to some things, and certainly, most of you have remained in this session, so that's great, but it's not like there's 100 people here. So if you want me to cover certain things, I think this group is small enough that you just, send me a question, or, even if you've used You've Got Leads or whatever, and you say, I'd love to see this or that, or stick around, then I can certainly accommodate you. But I wanted to touch upon tasks. Sources, nothing too in-depth there, and then get to some reports. But the task section, the filters work the same way as leads, okay? So you just pop your filters out, explore these. You can easily just look at lead contact type tasks. The system will automatically, kind of like it does for open leads, honestly, it'll default to your incomplete tasks, knowing that you want to address those. Automatically, even without you having to do that. So I can see my full task list. It's kind of like your task snapshot on your dashboard, but this is my comprehensive full task list. Any activity I've scheduled in this program, I can find in this section. Okay, and I certainly can click on the radio button. It brings up the details here, so I can complete the task if I need to. So I'm going to complete this task. Now it's going to require me to enter a next step. If I have that feature activated for my company, save it. And so I think the user interface and the process to complete these tasks in 3.0 is a bit more streamlined. It's just, it takes a bit less time to do what you're doing in 2.0 in 3.0, right? The same exact thing. So if you're performing these tasks on a day-to-day, then it's nice to be able to quickly follow up. And I'm doing this just to give you a quick idea of how you're scheduling this type of information. Make sure I click set the time. This is not an all-day task. I'm going to say 1.25 hours, click save. Okay. So there's some task information. As you move through this, it's really easy. Remember, if you want to drill into the actual activities page of a lead, you simply click on the task type itself. Okay. If I want to jump to the lead details, I click on the name. But again, they're right beside each other. So even if you click lead details and you were like, oh, I wanted to go to activity, fine. There it is, right there. No sweat. And here I can complete the task. I can edit my task, and that's all familiar to us by now in the session, right? If I want to get back to my task search quickly or my calendar, then there's these little icons. So I could go to task search here without having to go back up here and choose the main nav, header section. Okay. But speaking of the calendar, you have your filters on the left-hand side. And something that is relatively new here is the ability to drag and reschedule an appointment. So let's reschedule this one. I'm going to drag it to the next day. and that just changed that appointment. So I really like that. I can also lengthen or shorten the duration of an item, an upcoming appointment here. In addition, if I wanted to move a task, snapshot or all day type task to an appointment, then I could do that too. Okay. Maybe I want to make sure I call this person at 8:30. So I just moved that call to start time and duration right from my calendar, which users have definitely gravitated towards and are using now. To export all of these tasks to a calendar, you would click on the little plus sign up at the right-hand corner, and that will export your tasks to an iCalendar or Outlook calendar. Now, I want to mention that it is an Outlook calendar that's in addition to your primary. Okay. But it's right here, up the upper right-hand corner. But as you work with the calendar, it becomes clear if you want to work within this calendar or you pay much attention to it. We have lots of users that use it even solely to track tasks. And normally they go to their day view and they'll follow up, here just by clicking into the task, completing it, and then popping back to the calendar. Okay. Or looking at appointments and making sure they're addressing those. Some use it in conjunction with the task search, and others really just use task search. Okay, so without further ado, I do want to generate some reports. I know that a couple of you asked about that. So if you're brand new in this system, the reports function just a bit differently than the other tabs in that you hover the cursor over your reports, it pulls up the drop down, and then you have the report sections here. So if I want to see the activity report by week, then I choose it just like that. It comes up. And then here I can look at the quarters. And it gives me things like summary, inquiries, deposits, move-ins, move-outs. So a lot of metrics that we pay attention to, and it gives me those in a start week and by the week for the entire quarter. Okay. And any task that we've completed will show up in the row. Community outreach refers to sources. Inquiry follow-up refers to calls to families and leads. Referrals, this is giving you some indication of how different categorizations and referral sources are performing for you. So it's a pretty comprehensive report, but I can say that the weekly activity report is still probably the most popular, the most generated report in this program. Followed closely by reports like marketing dashboard, selling activities, that's to leads, outreach. Outreach, anytime you see the word outreach, that's the sources in this program. You can see this is all relevant stuff to what we do, right? And senior housing and marketing for a community. I love the unit type grid. If you've tracked your inventory and so on, then it just gives you a great indication of how many unsold units you're going to have at the end of the reporting period. So for instance, if I said instead of a week, I want to see a month. So where will we be at the end of March with our 1 bedrooms? Okay, well, here's the activity that's happening now. And so we'll have 1 unsold. Anytime you see an unknown record, then you click on the unknown link and it's going to give you the reason why there's an unknown there. Okay, and that just means you have to go clean up the details of that task. And I just wanted to mention too that I have some good questions coming in, but I know that, again, we have to wrap up quickly here. So Sandra and perhaps Michael, if you want me to go over some more reports with you on a one-to-one, we can do that. But certainly I will get all of these questions, like I said, in a report. So I'll have an Excel list of your exact question, and then I can take time to answer those and make sure everything is clear to me and you as well as far as the answer. Okay. Conversion rate summary, conversion rate comparison, trend by month, and detail. These are all reports that are very popular that use or that are used every day by users. And most of them you can schedule at an inquiry start date and inquiry end date. I know the rate summary and the conversion rate detail are two reports that that give you an inquiry start date and end date and an analysis start and end date. So perhaps we want to look at, I'm just going to choose an arbitrary type date range. Just to grab some data, just to show you what it looks like. And thank you, Michael. Sounds great. And you're very welcome. Sorry, guys, I'm responding to a question and comment there. I mean, there's lots of reports in this program. I'd say 35 plus that are built in. I know there's something to be said about, having hundreds of reports maybe, but a lot of our users gravitate towards You've Got Leads because it is very easy to use and pretty simple and straightforward. And reporting can get very complicated. And so certainly you can slice and dice and modify reports almost endlessly. And what I wouldn't want, and what a lot of you have told us you don't want, is complicated queries when it comes to reports. So what I mean by that is there's not a lot of intricate and technical knowledge required to generate a report and You've Got Leads. In fact, none, right? So as long as you're entering leads, tracking sources to those leads, entering tasks and following up with those activities, then for the most part, your report section will take care of itself. And that's the way I think it should be. Something like lead source analysis or your advertising report, giving you information on what was the cost and how many inquiries and did we get any move-ins from those inquiries, perhaps with a special event. All reports are exportable to Excel, and I will mention too that all leads, tasks, and sources are exportable to Excel as well. Anytime you see the little export to Excel button there. That's a good question, Wendy. And I promise, Sandra, I will get to your questions too. I'll review them each one. Is there any way to know how many tasks you have on one day? Let me see if I could. Well, there is a number of tasks here, Wendy. These are just the just tasks, the all-day type tasks. So that gives you a number. It does give you a number here. If you're looking at the calendar, maybe that's what you were looking for, perhaps? Thanks, Sandra. I appreciate that. I guess we're nearing the end of our training, so we can kind of loosen up a bit. You guys were great, honestly. Very attentive and ask wonderful questions. I know that some of you have used You've Got Leads for years, even. And then I've noticed that there are some brand new users as well. So I'm kind of glad with the group that we had today that I was here to take over this session. We haven't, covered every single thing, but I think we've covered a lot. And like I said, I'll go through the reports and do what I can to respond to each one of your questions that I might not have gotten to throughout the session. There is a recording of this session as well in the Help Center. So if you go here and go to training, you can find a pre-recorded full-length training of You've Got Leads 3.0. So you can always revisit that. And this week, in fact, or early next week, we will post a quick start guide for the YGL 3.0 users in the Help Center as well. And so that's a good reference that you'll be able to review, look at, just if you were somehow forget to add or how to add a lead or assign a task and so on. But I want to thank everybody for joining me today. I know it's been a long session, but you guys were awesome. Thank you for sticking around. I'll get those questions, answer everything, and follow up with all of you with a thank you, so you'll be able to contact me if needed in the future. I'll let you get back to other important things. And again, thanks for being a YGL partner with us, and we will talk to you very soon. Bye for now.